first time I went into Mosul, I was driving through East Mosul, and then as we crossed the bridge into West Mosul, it took my breath away. The amount of devastation. I've visited many post-conflict environments, ranging from Afghanistan into the Balkans, throughout Africa, and I don't think I've ever seen a part of a city that was so pulverized. It was very reminiscent of images of the Second World War, of Stalingrad, of Hamburg, Coventry, completely blown apart. Mosul is a city in northern Iraq. It lies between Erbil and the Syrian border. And when ISIS was at the peak of its control, there were over 2 million people living in Mosul. It was the biggest city under ISIS control. As the city was surrounded, they fell back into defensive positions. They'd had 2 years to prepare these, and the majority of these were in the old city, so West Mosul, on the banks of the river. And these buildings had been booby-trapped, they'd been rigged with explosives, they had caches of ammunition and weapons for the fighters to use. The fighters were wearing suicide vests and prepared to fight to the end, and the coalition forces dropped a lot of ordnance on them. And so the explosive hazard and the explosive contamination in Mosul is unlike really anything I've seen before. So you would have buildings were collapsed in on bodies. Some of the buildings had been booby-trapped or rigged with explosives to stop people returning home. And then there was the unexploded ordnance from just the actual fighting. When you look at that level of devastation, people just can't get back to their homes. They're finding it very difficult. The fridge might have been booby-trapped, so if you open the fridge door, it goes off, or a light switch gets flicked and there's a bomb waiting for you. And items are brought in by people who found them in their homes or found them in their gardens, and they bring them to our team sites, and then our teams work to destroy these items. But also then looking at some of the new technology like drones, and being able to put a drone over a site and look to see what the potential hazard is, and seeing things from different perspectives, and looking at, are there obvious threats? Can we see an explosive device that is visible? Can we see indicators that an explosive device might have been laid? Can we look at different avenues of approach, and to be able to see where we can provide the most benefit? And if you want people to go home, you have to create an environment that they feel safe. And that's not just their home being removed of explosive hazards, but it's allowing them to have access to clean water, to electricity, for the schools to be cleared so that their children can go back to school, so that health posts can be cleared so they can be refurbished, so that hospitals are safe, so that the doctors can start having procedures and surgery. And a lot of the work we've been doing has been working to ensure that we prioritise the tasking we do that has the most impact. So if we clear a water treatment plant that's going to provide 250,000 people a day with clean water, or we clear a bridge so it can be repaired and 1,000 vehicles an hour can cross it, what will give the most impact? What will give us real value add to the work we do? And it was incredible when I was in Mosul to see how quickly families would go back into the rubble of West Mosul and relay their foundations and start building their homes again. I mean, it's really incredible to see how proud they are and how they want to get on with their lives. They've gone through a terrible conflict, and they're showing a resilience that is very inspirational. And we can help them by removing the explosive hazards. Then people can feel confident and they can start getting on with their lives.
Hello, and welcome to the Reality Podcast. This is a podcast for health professionals built by nurses. Now, generally, we're going to talk about innovation and what's happening in the world of healthcare. And we do all of this through our subscriber feed, which is Bundle of Rays. So just head over to www.bundleofrays.podia.com to find out more. Otherwise, let's sit down, have a glass of wine or a coffee, and see where the conversation's going to take us this week.
Okay. I said I'm appreciated about your effort to help Mosul nurses.
Yeah, look, it's my pleasure. Honestly,
And my colleagues told me that you serve in Mosul.
Yeah, that's right. I worked in Mosul probably about 3 years ago now, I think. I worked at one of the hospitals there, and some of the boys that you work with did an amazing job, particularly Ahmed, who's here on our conversation today.
I suppose you're or assume that you have good experience and good idea about what happened in Mosul after ISIS destruction the healthcare systems.
Yeah, look.
In addition to educational.
Yeah, I had a very small window of experience while I was in Mosul. I got the opportunity to meet some local people, but I didn't get I wasn't in the city. I didn't see the hospital. So obviously your stories and your life around that is a lot more detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
In 19, okay, we have a good experience with Columbia University in USA. After in 2017, we work together about what are the priority of nursing research, and the meeting under the supervision of the Princess Mona Al Hussein in Amman. We talk about what happened in Mosul city after ISIS destruction, the healthcare system and educational process, and what we need to rebuilding everything.
yeah,
and we concluded that some priorities we can discuss with NGO and non-governmental programs how to help nursing in Mosul.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, from my experience and talking to some of the boys when I was there, because the people who were listening to this, they might not really understand what happened in Mosul, the
Yeah.
detail. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about when ISIS came into the city, what happened to the hospital and what happened to the city itself.
Yes. What happened in healthcare system, everything is destruction. There is no hospitals, no primary healthcare centers as perfect working today. But about the university also, the destruction reached the colleagues and the colleges of university. But we rapidly rebuilding everything. And in 2017 to 18, the life become normally as soon as possible. We return to study in Mosul University, but there is some challenges we faced that about the training of the students, especially in the clinical area, and training about the practices in hospitals and primary healthcare centers.
Okay, so
we totally dependent on the lab and some simulation modules, but we also faced some challenges how to brought this technique and instrument in our college.
Okay, so the hospital itself is back up and running. Obviously, there's patients coming into the local hospital now. So I was just saying the local hospital is open. So these students, are they doing some clinical placements in the hospital?
Oh, sure. The hospital is it's open, but with very limited restriction. about the number of the students and the chances to training.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And since you've started the students in 2017, how many students per year are coming through the university?
Okay, we have two programs, full-time and part-time. In each program, annually we accepted about 150 students.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. And
Very good.
yeah, yeah. And you know, I suppose the coronavirus is it come into Mosul? The COVID, the virus, is it hit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know, Corona around all the maybe globally. I think the nursing staffs also face many challenges how to deal with Corona, but they do everything to stop the disease.
Okay. And how bad is it in Mosul at the moment? If you had to describe your day, you know, when you came to work this morning, is there people out on the street? Are the shops open, or are you in like a full lockdown?
Yes, most of the life is stopped now. Most of the life is stopped now because of Corona, but the nursing staff work every day how to deal with the disease.
Okay. And what's the situation for the nurses on the ground there? You know, do you have enough staff? Is there enough resources for everybody?
Yeah, there is enough staff, but I think there is a limitation in the protection measurements.
Okay. So masks, gloves, gowns, that
Yeah.
type of thing. Yeah. And have you found that any healthcare staff or nurses so far are getting unwell or sick from Corona?
No, till to date, no any incidents of Corona among nursing staff.
Well, that's awesome. That's really good.
No, it's good.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky in Australia, we have only had around 100 deaths across the country, which is really good. But it's a crazy time, huh? It's really crazy. Yeah.
Very good.
So what's happening next for the nurses in Mosul? What's on the horizon?
Sorry?
What is on the horizon for the nurses in Mosul? What is the future?
Yeah. Now, there is two dimensions for the nurses. The first one in the practice and the another one in education. Now, because I'm working in university and academic, we faced some challenges how to complete the academic year in next month, and how to do the exams for our students.
Okay.
After that, we look forward how to training our nurses how to deal with the crisis.
Yeah, I think that's a common problem in a lot of institutions globally. Yeah. So, so if we're just bouncing around a little bit with the conversation, but if we go back to ISIS from a university perspective, when they came into the city, what did you do? Where did you go? If the university wasn't working, did you just spend the time with the family in another city, or were you in and around Mosul itself?
No, we still in Mosul.
Okay.
We just still in Mosul and work how to rebuilding the city.
Okay. All right. And we're joined today by two other gentlemen on the phone call. Before we do that, actually, would you like to introduce yourself? We didn't do that at the beginning, Radwan, and just let everybody know your name and your current position at the university.
Yes.
Yeah, can you just let everybody know your full name and the current position? What job are you doing at the university?
With the boss of university, sorry.
What is your role?
My role is the vice dean of nursing college.
Okay, awesome, excellent. All right, and we've just got two other gentlemen on the phone call today. We'll just quickly go and say hi to them and just get them to introduce themselves. First of all, I know this young man pretty well. Ahmed, would you like to unmute your sound and say hello?
Hello. Yes. Hello, Ahmed. Ahmed, you know Ahmed.
Yeah.
And Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman is the master student in our college and one of the efficient nurses.
Hello, Ahmed. Nice to see you again. It's been a few.
Hi, Brad. Thank you. I also nice to see you again.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think you want to talk about the experience of nursing and challenge during ISIS and COVID-19.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, during the period of ISIS occupation of Mosul, the nursing staff suffered from the restriction that imposed on them by criminal organization, where some staff migrate and others remained under injustice and undevelopment, as you hear. At that time, the goal of nursing was to educate and treat innocent civilian people with simplest available abilities. As you know, no equipment, no drugs, restricted and area.
Yeah. And,
yeah.
You know, I think some of the things that were so shocking for me is, you know, just the lack of resources because of the wartime. You know, like we had some burns victims comes in, and we just, you know, if they had sort of 20 or 30% burns, it was just so difficult to take care of them because they needed a lot of resources, but we didn't have that at hand, which was really really sad at times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, and he was here during the liberation battles. The nurses returned to play their national role and heroic role in helping people with the security forces and Iraqi army in the first line and the front line
Yeah.
in
Awesome.
the Iraqi forces, and also through health organization. And we work together to save people and treat them as a result of destruction of all health centers and hospitals.
Yeah, yeah. And Radwan, going back to you, politically in Mosul, you know, since ISIS have left the city, has the city itself felt safe? Has there been any new civil unrest? Or once you're heading around the city in the last 18 months, have things settled down and become
Now the city is very safe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very safe, but the destruction in our hospitals and health centers, it's very big.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if you have a photo of the hospital after ISIS attacked it, but I have seen some photos of the hospital, and I might get one off you to put with this podcast. You know, for people who were listening who don't understand, when you say destruction, you mean like destroyed. Like this thing.
Also, I will send you some photos about.
Yeah, send some photos because you know that level of destruction. Some people don't comprehend. You know, when you say destruction.
Some photos about a picture from.
Yeah. So you know, when you say you're rebuilding, you know, you're doing some really inspiring work because you're not starting from entirely from scratch, but there's a lot of work ahead of you. So you're doing a good job.
Yes. Brad, I can send you some little movie about Mosul city and especially about the College of Nursing at University of Mosul.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Yeah,
You can describe everything, what happened after ISIS, and what is the situation now.
yeah, that'd be really helpful. Attach it onto this conversation for people to watch and listen. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I wanted to speak to you, to let you know that I have an education business, and because of my previous work with you, I'm very happy to have access to our business for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Details through. And you can let your students know, and if you have any feedback that you want, I can help you work, support you as teachers, but also the students.
Good.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Yes. I have some suggestions if you agreed, Brad, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have good relations in Australia now, and you know some scientists among university of Australian, especially in nursing field.
Yes, I do
If
know.
you could, if you could serve Mosul to nominate some scientists for collaboration through like Zoom, this meeting now, how to training our faculty and how to writing research, for example, how to collaborate with some faculties from College of Nursing in different university around Australia.
Yeah, no worries. I will see if I can email a few people, and I'll contact the people that I know, and I'll do what I can for you. That's no trouble.
It's very useful to our college now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, particularly if you're looking to grow. Yeah, no trouble at all. Yeah.
The second suggestion, can you help to, after the corona crisis, can you help how to arrange sharing conference with the one of Sydney, for example, with the Sydney or Queensland or any area in Australia, how to construct an conference in sharing with the Australian university?
To share
How to hold conference? Yes.
conference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because of coronavirus, I don't even know how international travel or that type of thing with social distancing. That's a minefield. So I'll keep it in mind, but once COVID starts to calm down, it's probably something we can talk about. Yeah, but at the moment, I don't know when that's going to start up again. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
If there is no restriction about the Australian citizen to visit Mosul, everyone welcome in Mosul and our college.
Yeah, it's
We can invite him.
yeah, no troubles. I'll have the conversations and we'll see what we can work towards.
Good.
No troubles. Awesome. Anything else? Number 3? Come on, let's get
it. Yeah. Number 3, I seen your letters in Facebook and donation about Mosul nurses.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's good idea, and I appreciated that for you. But what's your idea how to use this donation for useful in development of nursing in Mosul?
Look, I think the money is being donated on an ability to support the nurses.
Yeah.
So whether you want to put that towards an educational tool, or perhaps to help with the nurses and the way that they cope working under stress with coronavirus. I trust you that you would invest that money in something that will just help support the nurses locally due to the pressure that they're under while they're working with coronavirus?
I said that, Brad, because I want to focus about something. It's very useful to training. I said that the healthcare system is distraction, and there's no chances for training in the clinical area. But the alternative instrument is a simulation. If you focus with some companies and some universities and the donors, how to help us, how to get some advanced simulation, because it's very useful in training of students.
Yeah, okay. You're definitely talking my language. So perhaps I can see if we can organize something in that field for you, if you think that will help support the nurses. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no troubles. Okay, all right. Anything else? It's been good to chat to you. I hope that you're safe and your families are well while the coronavirus is around. If you can send a little video that's about Mosul and the nursing school, I'll attach it
Yes.
to the video when I put up the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, thank you very much, Brad, for your effort to help Mosul and support nursing in Mosul city. I wish to re-meeting as soon as possible with our colleagues in college and discuss many issues according to a priority, how to develop nurses and how to support them.
No troubles. That sounds good. I hope that we can work towards a solution that can help help advance nursing in Mosul. That's the whole idea. Okay.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
Amazing. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Abdurrahman will talk what the role of nursing now in light of coronavirus.
Okay. Yeah. And what's your role? What's your
Role of nursing now. Yeah.
Okay.
Today, in light of coronavirus pandemic, nurses return to be first line of the prevention in saving the lives of people from dangerous virus. Despite the lack of personal protective equipment, they work in all circumstances to achieve their lawful mission in service of society.
Okay.
And also role of nursing college students in spreading awareness, prevention methods, sterilizing instructions and markets, and explaining ways to avoid infections in several media and personal means. Some of them worked as a team to manufacture face shield and make it with simple equipment and distributed them to hospitals and health institutions,
Okay.
to traffic police and society men.
1 second.
Okay.
You're telling me local nurses are working together to make their own face shields to help the nurses on the floor?
They manufactured it with simple equipment in the at home, and brought it to the hospital because lack of resources
Yeah, see,
from the government.
that's the cool things that nurses do. You know, we always make sure we look after other nurses. That's great. And sorry, you were saying about the traffic police?
We can send you a video how you can how they manufacture it from simple equipment.
Sure, no troubles. All right.
Yeah, Brad. They distributed it to traffic police and police in the street and the salesmen and people in the street in quarters, and also help people to sterilize the house and societies and institution in Mosul. Many activities nursing students in supported by Dr. Radwan do many things for serve Mosul city and people.
Okay, awesome. All right, boys, I've got another meeting in 5 minutes. So I really appreciate you taking the time. Maybe we can do this again sometime, and I'll try and work on the conversations as the doctor has requested, and hopefully I can come back to you with some solutions.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, and thank you for you. You are very great nurse, and appreciate for Dr. Radwan for his time and his effort. Thank you very much for all, and we will communicate soonly.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dr. Radwan.
Thank you, Brad. Hope to see you soon in Mosul.
Yeah, I'd love to come back. I love the tea.
Yeah, see you in Adba.
It's good. All right. Okay, see you, gentlemen.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.